The MV-1 is so special because this is the first vehicle ever made from scratch for the disabled community, with us in mind first, not an afterthought.
My wheelchair could fit right into the front seat.
I can go forward. Wow, like a human being. Cool.
Really easy. Really easy.
They came to the disabled community first to get our thoughts, to get our ideas, to know that we're not an afterthought, that we're a forethought, and to put all these concepts together and create a vehicle from scratch that is better than any vehicle ever designed. More durable, more safety, more cost-effective, and quite frankly, give us a better quality of life. The MV-1 has also created a concept that will revolutionize the taxi industry. Really, imagine that this vehicle can be used by everyone. It's spacious, it's roomy, it's a great looking car.
I love it.
Yeah, you guys rock.
Thank you.
This is another step that the MV-1 and their team is doing to allow us to have equal footing, equal ground, equal representation. And I think that's what makes this company different than any other vehicle company that I've ever seen. It's going to make a big difference in everyone's life.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us here in person and through our webcast to mark this very important event. This is truly a milestone for AM General and for the Vehicle Production Group, but most remarkable is the milestone that's achieved here for the thousands of customers who've been waiting for this vehicle. We are especially honored to have with us today, representing Senator Dan Coates of Indiana, Paul Eggman, his Regional Director. Representing Congressman Joe Donnelly from Indiana's 2nd District is Haj Patel, District Director. Mishawaka Mayor Dave Wood. Fred Drasner, Chairman, Vehicle Production Group. Frank Pearl, Chairman, CEO of Perseus. Dave Shembry, CEO, VPG. Matt DeMars, President, Chief Operating Officer, VPG. And our special guest, Mark Bonacani, President of the Miami Project to Cure Paralysis. In a few minutes, you'll hear more about these very important vehicles and the customers they will serve. But first, let me say on behalf of AM General's 2,000 plus employees here in the Midwest, we are proud to have contributed to our assembly experience and our passion to bring you this revolutionary vehicle. Revolutionary may sound like a bit of an overstatement in some respects, but when you consider that the MV-1 is the very first vehicle designed and built from the ground up to meet or exceed the standards of the Americans with Disability Act of 1990, you get an entirely different appreciation for what's been accomplished here. The fact that it took this small startup company to do what the automotive industry couldn't or wouldn't do for the past 20 years cannot go unrecognized. The Vehicle Production Group deserves our admiration for holding true to their convictions and providing this long overdue solution. Despite the odds, investors, suppliers, the Department of Energy, and many government officials stuck with the beliefs of the Vehicle Production Group and unfailingly supported this initiative. To all of you, we say thank you. Getting to this point has been a team effort. For over 3 years, a dedicated team of AM General and VPG employees have been working very hard to get us to this day. It's not the most glamorous part of the business, and I would like to take a moment and ask that you join me in recognizing the hard work of these men and women that really make it all happen. At AM General, we believe that contract assembly relationships like we have in place for the MV-1 are vitally important to our long-term growth and success. And we also believe that these unique collaborations are also essential for the U.S. auto industry as a whole. By bringing together the strengths of multiple companies, we can compete in a global environment, and we can rebuild our U.S. industrial base. We can maintain our capabilities in national defense and bring products to market that customers really want and are excited to own. And most importantly, we can create jobs, new jobs, good jobs right here in the Midwest. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the first of several guests who deserve much of the credit for bringing us the MV-1, Fred Drasner, Chairman, Vehicle Production Group.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today, both in person and on the web. It's really a monumental occasion for us, and I'd like to thank Rick Smith again and Kevin Rierig. Kevin is Rick's right-hand man and our day-to-day partner in this endeavor, and we certainly appreciate his tireless efforts on our behalf. This journey started about 5 years ago after I completed a circumnavigation of the globe for 3.5 years with my wife Laura, and I can say with confidence the journey of VPG was far more arduous. We weathered the storms of the economic decline, the near failure of the banking industry, the collapse of the U.S. auto industry, and I would think that compared to Odysseus, we had a much more difficult task. But like Odysseus, we had a number of milestones to achieve before our journey would be successful to bring us here today to the end of our development phase and the start of manufacturing. And the first milestone was Rick Smith. In August of '07, I walked into his office and announced we were starting a new automobile company. I waited about 5 minutes for the laughter to die down, and then Rick politely listened to my story. When we were done, he became convinced that we had a large market opportunity and agreed that AM General would support us. And that was the first step down the road to where we are today. The next step involved verifying our market thoughts, and that was first accomplished by a gentleman named Alex Lodi, the chairman and CEO of MV Transit, the largest provider of paratransit services in the United States. Alex expressed a great need for the vehicle and demonstrated his commitment by placing a substantial order. Next came Clean Energy Fuels, led by T. Boone Pickens and Andrew Littlefair, who convinced us that our CNG strategy was correct and also supported us with a substantial order. And lastly, Nick Grande, who became our distributor in Canada, convinced us of a large market opportunity in Canada, and also supported us with a large order. So having the assembly plant in place and having the market response of 3 considerable orders, I went to look for the secret source of venture capital, money. And for that, I went to an old friend who's here today with his lovely wife, Gerald, Frank Pearl, chairman and CEO of Perseus, a highly successful venture capital organization in Washington. Frank put his hardworking team on the case, and after considerable analysis, sort of agreed with my superficial analysis and said he would finance. So we set off with the financial tools in place, our assembly tool in place, and Frank then took the laboring oar in discussions with the Department of Energy on our CNG strategy. Frank and his hardworking team, again, brought the DOE into our financing mix, and they've been supporting our efforts in compressed natural gas, and we certainly thank them for all their time and energy in bringing this much-needed vehicle to the disabled community. We then had one more hurdle to face, the bankruptcy of General Motors and the bailout. Our original powertrain was a GM powertrain. It became apparent through the issues facing General Motors this was not going to be satisfactory to us, and we switched at great difficulty and expense to Ford. And Ford has been a wonderful partner. They've been supportive, they've been encouraging, and they've been there when we needed them. And the car now proudly uses a Ford powertrain. So with all those pieces in place and the journey complete, bringing us to today, what was the story I told to stop the laughter? One, we are facing a very unserved market. There are 54 million disabled Americans in the country, 10 million use an ambulatory aid, and 4 million use a wheelchair. And the baby boomer generation, of which I include myself, is becoming the largest segment, or is the largest segment of the population, and need for these devices will only increase. 1.5 million people own an adapted vehicle or lease an adapted vehicle in the United States. We started this vehicle by talking to the consumer, and we asked them what it was that they really needed to address their concerns in this market. And through considerable consumer research, over 50 focus groups, we heard a constant theme that aftermarket means afterthought, that there is no purpose-built vehicle to address the concerns of accessible transportation. And as Rick mentioned, it's been a long time coming, and we're proud to be the first company to address this need. We have a significant price advantage. Typically, a converted vehicle is purchased as a regular van. It's then taken and accessories are added, greatly increasing the price. We intend to bring this vehicle to market at a price just below $40,000, which is about $10,000 to $20,000 less expensive than a converted van. We also have the compressed natural gas solution. The problem with compressed natural gas vehicles is they were converted also. Typically, a Crown Victoria would do the conversion by installing the CNG tank in the trunk. That eliminated luggage space. Also, the tank was small and provided for only 120 miles of range. In the normal duty cycle for a livery vehicle or taxi cab, or for the ordinary consumer, 300 miles is sort of the gold-plated range, and that's what we've achieved through this new 3-tank array. I'd like to again thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for joining us on the start of production. And for a technical discussion of the vehicle, I'll introduce Matt DeMars, our President and Chief Operating Officer.
Thanks, Fred, and again, thank everyone for coming today. The MV-1 was designed, engineered, and built from the ground up for a very specific purpose. It's important for everyone to understand why we did it that way. Our goal was to provide, for the first time in the industry, a vehicle purpose-built to meet all applicable FMVSS requirements and also exceed the Americans with Disabilities Act guidelines direct from the factory. Our chassis was engineered for its durability and safety aspects. For handling and maneuverability, the MV-1's ladder frame design has rack and pinion steering and a front SLA suspension. The fixed rear differential, the Dion rear suspension, and air leveling system also allow for our 6 inches of ground clearance and our impressive overall capacity of 6,600-pound gross vehicle weight rating. And again, we selected the Ford 4.6-liter V8 engine and transmission for their great reliability and their performance. The rest of the body was designed around the ADA guidelines, with its key elements being the door opening and the integrated ramp. The side door provides a large door opening, 36 inches by 56 inches, and the ramp provides up to a 1:6 ratio, so a person in a wheelchair can enter and exit comfortably. The interior space allows for a wheelchair to be able to maneuver inside very easily. It was designed to provide the proper head clearance for passengers in wheelchairs for a superior line of sight. It's equipped with multiple restraints to secure a wheelchair safely and can easily accommodate a driver, wheelchair passenger, and up to 4 seated passengers with the optional jump seat. But most importantly, the MV-1 allows for a person in a wheelchair to have a front seat occupancy and the opportunity, sometimes his or her first ever, to ride with dignity. Not long ago, we had the opportunity to show some of our early vehicles to select members of the disabled community. At one of the events, the mother of a young man in a wheelchair was seen crying as her son rode in the MV-1. When we asked her why she was crying, she explained her son hadn't smiled in years, and he was smiling now and looking over at her and saying, "Look, Mom, I'm riding shotgun." That's what this vehicle is all about. If we can provide that kind of an experience for our customers, we've done our jobs well. As a reminder, for those of you online, you're welcome to submit questions at any time, and we'll answer them at the end of the program. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Dave Schembri, our Chief Executive Officer. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Let me add my welcome. When we started to think about the shopping, buying, and ownership experience for the MV-1, we knew that, like the vehicle, it had to be different, and that the entire experience also needed to be inspired by MV-1 prospects. And when we asked them, they told us that we needed to be sensitive to their needs in all aspects of the buying experience. For example, when it's time to take delivery of their new MV-1, they physically may not be able to withstand the long process at the dealership. So we created what we call the MV-1 white glove delivery process. The foundation of this process is that the customer can decide where they want their MV-1 delivered. They may choose their office, their home. Wherever they choose, the MV-1 dealer will find a way to accommodate the customer's request. We also heard loud and clear that roadside assistance is important to them, since their aftermarket conversion often breaks down. And when it does, the roadside company will tow the vehicle but leave the customer on the side of the road with their wheelchair and a cell phone. Well, because the MV-1 is purpose-built and requires no conversion whatsoever, we expect outstanding reliability. However, in the rare instance that an MV-1 does require roadside assistance, we'll make certain that the wheelchair occupant is our primary concern. We'll make sure that if the vehicle does require a tow, that we'll provide transportation for the wheelchair occupant. These are just a couple of the examples of how we'll care for the MV-1 customer. The MV-1 will be sold and serviced by new car dealers throughout the United States, and we're proud to announce that on day one, today, we have 41 dealers that are operational throughout the United States, and within the next few months, we'll have between 60 and 80 dealers providing outstanding service to this woefully underserved market. When we started to think about the profile of an MV-1 dealer, we decided to recruit only dealers who have demonstrated excellence in customer care and are community-minded. These are attributes far more important than any of the superficial luxuries that many dealerships offer. In fact, we didn't ask for investments in brick and mortar or in expensive signage or furniture. We're asking our dealers to invest in the customer and provide them with an unparalleled experience. Well, we're very proud of those dealers who said yes, and you'll see from our list of inaugural dealers that they represent some of the finest dealer organizations in the United States. The MV-1 is even far different in how it is being marketed. It is not a product whose target customer is defined by age or income. Rather, it's a need-based product. It is also a product that has direct application to other market segments, such as paratransit, municipal, taxi, livery, non-emergency medical transport, assisted living, and the list goes on and on. And because it's a need-based product, the majority of our marketing will be direct. Presence marketing and experience marketing will dominate our mix. Having the MV-1 on display at rehab centers, at medical supply retail outlets, and other locations that work with individuals who use mobility devices is where you'll see the MV-1. The viral world is also an active marketplace for our target consumer. And as such, we're already active on Facebook, Twitter, and can be seen on YouTube. You can even order your very own MV-1 online at vpgautos.com. Our most effective marketing tool, however, is the discovery aspect of the MV-1. As consumers, we love to discover new products that relate to our interests and make our everyday life better. When we find a product like this, we can't wait to share it with our family and friends who have like interests. Well, in this community, where there's a product that improves their quality of life, it is communicated enthusiastically and as quick as it takes to hit the send button. This creates advocacy in the truest sense of the word. And there's nothing more powerful in marketing than the advocacy of users of your product. And we intend to develop an advocacy base for the MV-1 that will be the foundation of all of our marketing. So whether you're inquiring about the MV-1, shopping, or buying the MV-1, we'll deliver an experience very different than any other automotive buying experience. This is how we'll reinforce and sustain advocacy, thereby establishing the MV-1 as the gold standard for all mobility vehicles. And speaking of gold standards, value is a key ingredient, and the MV-1 is value-packed. You heard today that the MV-1 is the only wheelchair-accessible vehicle purpose-built, providing all the advantages inherent in a vehicle that is built from the ground up. As you also heard today, the only vehicles available prior to the MV-1 were aftermarket conversions. These vehicles are structurally compromised and are generally priced in the $55,000 plus range. Well, VPG is pleased to announce that the base price of the MV-1 will start at $39,950. Now that's value. So all of us at VPG are proud to introduce the MV-1 and proud to have worked with the people with disabilities throughout the United States to make the MV-1 a reality today. Thank you, and I'd like to turn the program back over to our chairman, Fred Drasner. Thank you very much.
Well, you're always supposed to save the best for last, and the best is Mark Bonacani. One of the best things that happened to me on this 5-year journey was meeting Mark. Mark was a football player, injured on the field, and then dedicated his life to finding a cure for paralysis through the Bonacani Fund to Cure Paralysis. And I say this earnestly, that since I met Mark, I haven't had a bad day. I promised him when he got involved with VPG that the first production vehicle would be his. He sat with me through the ups and downs and the twists and turns, but today I can't be happier in walking over and saying to Mark, as I, Frank Pearl, the Perseus organization, and the employees of VPG promised, this is your vehicle.
Well, thank you, Fred. What a
unbelievable gift and just a tremendous surprise. And it's true, the very first one, 00001. I verified it. It gives me great pleasure to join VPG Chairman Fred Drasner, AM General President of Commercial Sales Rick Smith, Chief Operating Officer for VPG Matt DeMars, and Chief Executive Officer Dave Shembry. And all the executives and all the staff of all the organizations involved who have worked so hard to make this incredible day possible. Over the last couple of years, I've been able to witness this incredible team in action, and so proud to be here today for the MV-1's official debut. When Fred asked me to be part of the VPG team, I made it clear that in order to lend my support, the vehicle had to truly embody all the features that someone with a disability or in a wheelchair would need. And once I saw the vehicle for the first time, I knew that I wanted to be a part of this endeavor, because the MV-1 would exceed all the expectations for someone with a disability. The MV-1 is the only vehicle that is specifically built for the disabled community. It is not, and I say again, it is not an afterthought or a vehicle that has been cut up into pieces for an unintended use. And what makes the MV-1 so special? Everything. Let's talk about safety. The MV-1 is built with a solid chassis and is the only vehicle for the disabled community strong enough for that community. Just imagine, most spinal cord injuries occur to people during vehicular car accidents. You can be sure that buying a vehicle that has a safety a top priority is going to appeal to the disabled community, and especially to the individuals who want to make sure that they're extra safe. And accessibility, the MV-1 boasts the greatest maximum weight ramping system, the biggest door opening, and the highest headroom of all vehicles for the disabled. The interior is extremely spacious and offers the ability to hold multiple wheelchairs as well as 4 adults, and to store all the luggage and all the equipment that someone with a disability would need. And reliability, you have to say, well, it's built by AM General, which is legendary for extremely reliable vehicles with a tried and true engine, transmission, and other components. And it has to be, because with a person with a disability or in a wheelchair, nothing could be worse than being stranded on the road without your vehicle. It's a matter of life or death, and because of the reliability, anyone who owns one can be confident that their MV-1 will never let them down. Economically, well, let me tell you, and believe me, that makes a huge difference with the disabled community because of all the added expenses inherent with your disability. Environmentally friendly. What a great way to help the planet by cutting emissions and feeling good about your vehicle. In customer service, you heard the guys talk about it. VPG is dedicated to providing the best customer service in the industry, offering a network of nationwide dealers who are intimately familiar with the MV-1 will make the buying experience hassle-free and user-friendly. Servicing the vehicle will be seamless and convenient for all the customers. And a person with disabilities need their vehicles more than anybody else. Everything in our life depends on transportation. Just think about it. The ability to get to work, to get to the doctor, to go to school, to shop, or just having the freedom to leave the house to enjoy life, even just for a little while. That's what it's all about. It's about having the freedom, it's about having the independence to live your life to the fullest. Nobody wants to be stuck at home, especially someone with a disability. The ability to have the peace of mind to forget about life for a while and do all the things you want to do without hesitation or the hardship of living life without transportation. Now, I hope you can understand why the MV-1 is so important. This is the vehicle that the disabled community has been waiting for. Not only are we delivering safe, accessible, reliable, economically and environmentally friendly vehicle with the best customer service, we're also delivering hope. The hope of a better life. And now and today, I hope everyone is as proud as I am of the MV-1. And in closing, all I can say is that I'm the luckiest and most fortunate of all because I get the very first one. Thank you for all so much. Ask Fred to come back up here and take the podium, and I think we're getting ready for questions and answers.
Correct, as usual. That concludes our formal portion of the program. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. And now we will take questions both from the audience here in person and from the people joining us on the web. And if I could have the first question, I'll take one from the room. There being no questions from the room, we'll see if we have a question from the web. And there's the first one. Is there a target date for delivery? James Kavanaugh. Not sure of the organization. We are delivering this month. And if you'd like to place an order, just send it in an email and we'll get right back to you. How will sales be handled? Can you detail the makeup of your dealer network? Gary Costello, Fox News. I think I'll ask Dave to address that one. Dave?
Yes. Our dealer network, as I mentioned, will service the entire United States. That can be accomplished today. On our website, vpgautos.com, you'll find our list of dealers that are operational, and you'll find the dealer nearest you. Give them a call, and they can transact the deal for you.
Is financing available for the vehicle? Dave?
Yes, we're working with several finance companies, major finance companies throughout the United States that will be able to provide financing for you, and your dealer will be equipped to provide those sources and have the applications there for you to complete and get you on the road as quickly and as economically as possible.
What is the average fuel mileage? Jeff Brummel, United Access. Matt?
The average fuel economy for the gas vehicle is 15 miles per gallon and the CNG is 13.5.
And that's both highway and city?
That's combined.
Will government funding be available to assist cities in purchasing units? Marcus Shelley, Habitat for Humanity. Yes, there are several programs both on the federal level and the state level. They vary by municipality, and you'll have to check with your local municipal or federal organizations. We will shortly have a list of those opportunities listed on our website. Do you have plans for international distribution and sales? Yes, one of our plans started early in Canada with Nick Groundy and his organization, and we're investigating distribution opportunities in both the Far East, the Middle East, and Europe. Which automaker supplies the powertrain, and what sort of warranty is offered on the engine and transmission? Matt?
So the powertrain is supplied by Ford Motor Company. It's the 4.6 liter V8, and it's a 5-year, 75,000 mile warranty.
When will the first CNG versions be rolling out, as we have 5 on order? They're right over there. Come down and pick them up. We have time for about 2 more questions, if anybody in the room has one. If not, yes?
It's pretty impressive looking. How well do you expect it's going to do? I mean, you must have, with all the research you've done, you must have a feel for how well you think this thing will do.
We'll do mechanically or do sales?
No, in terms of sales and that.
We're sold out for our first year. We anticipate 12,000 next year and growing to 25 to 30,000 the year after. And we think on the road it'll do very well.
Can I get in my new car?
Yes.
It's your car. You're free to do whatever you like.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Who's going to service these units once they are sold into the field? Car dealers? Darrell, the Ability Center. Dave?
Yeah, our new car dealers will have the ability to service your vehicle, and we'll find a way to, if your vehicle needs to be taken to the dealership, too far away and can't do it, we'll find a way to get your vehicle in for service, and vehicle be serviced locally for you.
Well, he's such a ham. Well, thank you to the online audience that submitted the questions, and thank you for everybody here that joined us. We appreciate you taking the time, and you'll be free to take a closer look at the vehicles and drive them and meet with Mark in his car. And thank you again for coming today.